I have read over 100 studies on sleep, and I've gathered all the knowledge that I can in the last 4 years on how to sleep fast. And I've used that knowledge to improve my own sleep to the point where I improved my 60% sleep efficiency to now 100% sleep efficiency. Now, if you don't know what that means, it basically means that my sleep is perfect. I can fall asleep within 15 minutes, sleep 8 hours uninterrupted, and wake up feeling refreshed and energized. So in this video, I'll go over on the three most important tips on how to actually fall asleep fast. So the first tip on how to actually fall asleep fast is by getting into this daily schedule of going to bed at the exact same time every single day. And the reason why you need to do this in order to fall asleep fast is because your body just naturally gets routine to it, because your body has this thing, or like the internal clock called the circadian rhythm, where basically it's like its own 24-hour clock where that keeps track of time. It just becomes well adjusted. So when you go to sleep at the exact same time at 9 p.m., right? Let's just say right now is 8 p.m. and we go to bed at 9 p.m. Our body will naturally just get adjusted to go to bed at 9 p.m. So it's going to start releasing melatonin. It's going to start increasing the adenosine pressure. It's going to start doing all of these things, so that way when we hit 9 p.m., you'll fall asleep within 2 to 3 minutes, and you're just out like a baby. And if you want to start waking up feeling energized and refreshed and get the best sleep of your life, so that way you can actually enjoy the things that you love doing, then go down below, click the top link down below in the description, and join the Sleep Advantage Blueprint, where everything I learned in the last 4 years about sleep is in one place. Join now, lock in your price before it increases. Now, the second tip on how to actually fall asleep fast is by optimizing your sleep hygiene slash environment. Now, some examples of your hygiene would be turning on the blue light filter on your phone or devices, or taking a warm bath or shower right before you go to bed. And some examples for optimizing our sleep environment would be lowering the room temperature by like 2 to 3 degrees, or darkening the room or dimming the lights, so that way melatonin can increase. And we do all of these things because, again, we want to fall asleep fast, and the best way to do that is by doing all of these things. So back to the blue light filter. The reason why we turn on the blue light filter is because the blue white light is very destructive to our eyes, in the sense that it disrupts melatonin. And if you don't know what melatonin is, think of it this way. You know how on the first tip I told you about, oh, it's 8 p.m. and our bodies don't start getting adjusted to when we go to bed at 9 p.m., right? What happens at 8 p.m. is that melatonin gets released into your brain, into your bloodstream, and that's basically the sleep hormone. It's basically telling you, hey, like everything in your body, it's time to go to bed, time to shut down some things. We have to go to sleep within an hour. And when you watch anything with blue slash white light, it disrupts melatonin, and it prevents it from doing its job. So in order to keep melatonin functioning like we want it to do its job, we need to turn on the blue white or blue light filter, so that way it's not training our eyes. It's not telling us, oh, it's actually it's actually daytime, not nighttime. Because another I guess factor of blue slash white light is that it tricks our brain into thinking it's actually daytime rather than nighttime. And another part of sleep hygiene is taking a warm bath or a hot shower. You don't need to specifically do those things, because the point of a warm bath or a hot shower is to simply relax your body. Because some people find a warm bath just really nice, it relaxes them, and that's the point of sleep hygiene. We want to get into this relaxed state, because 10 out of 10 times, right? You're It's way easier to fall asleep relaxed compared to when you're stressed and overthinking. So when you're relaxed, it's easier to fall asleep compared to when you're stressed. There was a study done in 2009 where they took, I believe, 20 adults with mild insomnia, and they split them into two groups. One group did relaxation methods, of the Zen method with breathing techniques. The other group didn't do anything. They just did their typical regular nighttime routine. And what they found is that the group that did the relaxation method, the breathing method, that decided to relax right before they go to bed, found that sleep latency was way shorter compared to the group that didn't do any of that. And what this means is that when you put in the time to relax before you go, to let go of that stress, to like do breathing techniques, to do breath work, you can actually fall asleep way faster compared to like the guys, they didn't. They just, did the last thing of their day and then went to bed just straight after. And now your sleep environment where, it's like mainly about your room and your bed. For your bed, just, do something comfortable where you can, go to bed easily on, like obviously, right? And then, for your room temperature, studies show that it is easier to fall asleep faster in a cold room compared to a room where it's like room temperature and a bit on the warmer side. And it's because like we naturally feel better, cold. Because like you've definitely experienced like your pillow, right? You always switch to the colder side so that it's so much easier to fall asleep. And the same with our bed too, right? Or our room. When it's colder, we have an easier time falling asleep. And the reason why this is because your core body temperature regularly drops right before you go to bed, around 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So when your room is already cold, it's already kind of chilly, it's already kind of cool, it naturally just helps with with your body temperature just decreasing. Because like sometimes like in a warmer room, your body struggles to reduce its core body temperature, which is absolutely necessary to fall asleep faster. And then another aspect of the sleep environment is like darkening your room or like dimming your lights. And this is like pretty generic, and it's because us humans, associate light with waking up, with daytime. That's what we associate light with. When we hear the word darkness, we typically, think of like something like pretty dark, like obviously, right? But we also mention something like sleep. And so when we darken the room or our house in general, right? It's so much easier to like, fall asleep because we have the melatonin in our brain. It gets way more like it's easier to produce melatonin in a darker room compared to a lighter slash brighter room. And so when you dim down the lights and darken your room, your pineal gland in your brain starts to release melatonin into your brain. And the melatonin that's like basically the hormone that's like telling you to fall asleep. It releases into your brain, into your body, and now all of a sudden it's just so much easier to fall asleep. And it reduces your cortisol and your alertness level, and basically it's like it reduces your stress, so that way it's again way easier to fall asleep faster. The third tip on how to actually fall asleep faster is by, it's a pretty common thing, right? But not too many people do it, and it's simply by exercising, doing physical activity. And the reason why we do this is because when we do something hard, like physical activity, whether that be, 10,000 steps, maybe a workout in the gym, maybe it's something else, maybe it's a sport, something physical to get your heart rate up, to get your cortisol levels up, because when we do physical activity, we naturally get tired. And there's one hormone in our brain called adenosine. When we do any type of physical activity, adenosine builds up. And if you don't know what adenosine is, it's basically this hormone where it's sleep pressure. Now, sleep pressure is what causes the desire to fall asleep. Basically, I want you to understand is the bigger the sleep pressure is, the more desire there is to fall asleep. The lower it is, the less desire to fall asleep. Like obviously, when you wake up in the morning, you wake up, feeling refreshed and energized, right? You don't feel like you want to go back to bed because that's when adenosine is the lowest. Whereas at nighttime, that's like when adenosine is typically at its highest, is when you want to fall asleep. It's where the sleep desire actually arises from. And so basically, how physical activity helps us is that it increases adenosine. So when you take a workout at around 12 p.m. or during any time in the day, just not too close to bed, you actually give your adenosine a little bit of boost because like if you're feeling tired, your cortisol is up, you're doing all this stuff. However, there is one caveat to this, and that is don't work out or do any physical activity too close to your bedtime. Light stretching here and there is completely fine. What I'm saying is don't do fucking run a mile 1 hour before you go to bed. And that's because your cortisol level is going to be extremely high at that time, and you're not going to have like an easy time falling asleep because as we mentioned, it is easier to fall asleep relaxed compared to when you have like all this stress just building up, and now you're like stressing even more because you can't fall asleep. And if you want to stop wasting time and you actually want to wake up feeling energized and refreshed and get the best sleep of your life, so that way you can actually enjoy the things that you actually love to do, then go down below, click the top link down below in the description where you can join the Sleep Advantage Blueprint and get everything I learned about sleep in the last 4 years all in one place. Join now so that way you can lock in your price before it increases. But anyways, that's it from me.